Hi, friends. Welcome back to
Wish You Love Podcast.
I'm Marilyn.
And I'm Jasmine.
And we are so lucky to have you here.
And happy St. Patrick's Day!
Thank you so much for pushing on this episode. Of course, just like the rest of the month, we're going to definitely be talking about luck. Be sure to wear your green today if you're watching us on YouTube. Jasmine and I are both wearing green along with her green eyes. And just be sure to maybe comment down below some green emojis if you're on YouTube. Also, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, be sure to leave us a review if you're loving our podcast so far. It definitely helps us out. And thank you so much just for being here today.
I hope you guys are having a good March so far.
Yes.
We are halfway there now, I think.
Yeah, we're in the middle. Almost to Easter. Easter's this month, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, 2 holidays
In 1
coming
month.
together, yeah.
How lucky
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah, for real. I feel like we have to do Easter in April, though, like talks about, you know, because this month is already overtaken by St. Patrick's Day. I kind of forgot that it was the 31st this year, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know that St. Patrick's Day was on Sunday, but you know, we're celebrating it here today on the podcast. So I hope you guys all did something fun for St. Patrick's Day or wore green or maybe even went to a pub. I hope you were safe and had fun. But yeah, so let's get into the episode. So we are going to talk about luck. And so our opening question is, can you think of a time in your life when you were lucky? What happened? So since this is an opening question, I'm just going to talk about a few times in my life that I have felt lucky. So definitely meeting Jasmine and Angel. I met them, like we talked about in the trailer episode, I met them at our mutual friend's wedding. Like, who would have literally thought that we met each other and became friends and then made a podcast together? I literally would have never thought that would be the trajectory of our friendship. So that was something lucky. I'll say 3 things. Another thing that I feel that I was lucky with was the family that I have. No family is perfect, but I do feel like after reflecting on, you know, the people in my life, I just think I'm like, yeah, I'm so blessed to have my brothers, my parents, my poppy, my grandma, like so many people. I'm so blessed that they're in my life and I'm a lucky girl. So yeah. And lastly, I would definitely say just having Anthony as my boyfriend, meeting him. I know so many of my friends and maybe you out there are like, where is my soulmate? I want my partner. I want my person. And I feel lucky to say that I found mine. And so I'm kind of finding a theme. I guess I'm lucky to have the people I have in my life. That's actually that's literally just one thing because I thought there were 3 different things. They're all the same thing. But yeah, what about you, Jasmine?
Ironically, as you were answering, I'm like, I think I'm going to answer the people in my life.
Yeah.
So I think same. I feel like I'm really lucky to have everyone that is in my life at this moment. As we know, and as I mentioned, as years pass, people change and, you know, fall off or relationships end, friendships end. But I think right now at this very moment, I agree. I think the people that I have in my life right now, I'm very lucky to have, including, you and Anthony, like who I know. I just spoke with our friend, the one we went to the wedding for.
Oh, yeah.
She is moving back down. And so we were talking for a little bit through text. And when we were talking, I literally thought to myself, like, wow, like I'm really friends with one of her friends that we met at her wedding, right? Like how, like, I don't know. It's just funny and how life works. And I'm just, really grateful and lucky for everyone who's in my life right now. Yeah. And I hope we continue to feel lucky with each other for many, many more years.
Yeah. I remember Jasmine and I so we first started hanging out just like us two. It wasn't just like our boyfriends. Now our boyfriends are roped in, but like, you know, we started just girls first. And I don't know if I told you. I think I did. I think so, actually. We were at a restaurant and I remember telling her, I was like, I can see you becoming a best friend. Did I tell you that?
I think so.
I was like, you have the vibe. Like, something about you.
I said that about you.
Yeah?
I like your energy. Remember?
Oh, yeah. You were telling me you needed more friends with good energy.
This energy. Yeah, like good. I love all my friends, but Marilyn specifically, you guys, like her, I always say this, and I'm a broken record. Like your energy is just different. Like you are like a like go-getter. Like I'm here to like back you up.
Push you.
And like I have other friends who are beautiful, but they all bring different things to the table.
Yes, and
so,
you need the different things.
Yeah, and so what you bring,
what
you bring to the table, I love. I was like,
I know it might be
like
some.
this.
It
like,
might be a lot sometimes. Take me in doses. Drink at your own discretion. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love that we actually were thankful for the same thing. Yeah, I'm glad that we are, because that would suck if we had crappy people. But comment down below what you feel you are most luckiest for. Maybe it's family as well, or maybe it's I don't know, your job, or maybe it's
a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question: how do you identify and challenge negative self-talk and beliefs that make you feel unlucky, undeserving, or incapable? So there's a lot of parts to this question. I'll go through each one of them. So it's negative self-talk and beliefs. When I feel unlucky, I think it's important to also, when you're talking to yourself and you're telling yourself like all the things that went wrong in your life, maybe how you were raised, or the things aren't going how you anticipated. I think to get out of that mental state, I think definitely combat that with, but what is going right in my life? I think that there's so many times I have fell into the pit of maybe pity or sadness, or maybe sometimes, because I do suffer from trauma, so sometimes a flashback will come back and it'll replay in my head, and I'm just sitting there, kind of in a daze. And what helps me get out of that negative mindset is kind of like, you're safe now, you're okay, you survived it. Like, reminding yourself the positive of what's happening in your life. And as for feeling unlucky, undeserving, or incapable, I will say I was watching a YouTube video. I can't remember his name. It's Matt something. He has a YouTube channel called Our Queer Life, and it's really good if you want to check it out. And one of the people he was interviewing had said that she felt that she was undeserving of love. And that literally made me like almost tear up, because I couldn't have imagined feeling like that. Like, I don't deserve to be loved, to have a good relationship, to have a soulmate. And some people, and maybe you are that person out there, that feel undeserving or maybe incapable of doing what you want or accomplishing what you want in your life. And I think to challenge that and to identify that is so important. For me, I think that negative self-talk, we were kind of talking about that in the last episode of, my singing and my music and stuff. But I'm trying to think if I feel incapable or undeserving. I don't think so. One example of this is somebody in my life that really feels incapable or undeserving of like a position that I had told them to apply for. But I think something really beautiful is that to learn from other people. I was listening to a Joel Osteen podcast. I know I bring him up a lot, but he always says like, God will bless you even when you're unqualified, even when the health report isn't good. He'll bless you even when you weren't expecting blessings, And I was thinking that with somebody else in my life that got a job position and they did not have the qualifications, and yet they still got the position. And so what I'm telling you is take the leap. Take that leap. I know we were talking about Easter, be that bunny. Take that leap, because you never know where life will take you. So anytime that you self-doubt yourself or you put yourself down, you need to talk yourself up. You need to, maybe if you struggle with finding that self-love, maybe writing down things that other people love about you and try to see that within yourself. I know that a lot of people struggle with this. And so I think my My advice would be only intake positive forms of media. So like this podcast, positive music, because I noticed like the media that you're watching will alter how you feel. So not only the intake that you're taking in, the media, but also being outside, being in the sun, seeing friends, people who love you, and making sure to learn how to love yourself different ways. Self-love. I'm still trying to learn how to let myself rest. That's a form of love, you know. Treat yourself how you would treat the person that you love the most is, I think, my advice. Mm-hmm.
Very beautifully said, as always. Yeah, you made me think of, this is going to sound so silly, you guys, but made me think of that one. It was a couple. It was the Ace family.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're divorced or breaking up, whatever. Catherine just came out the other day, I guess, stating something about her ex-husband's behaviors right now and like how he's acting on social media. I don't know if you've seen, but it's very like kiddish, chaotic, like kind of like trying to be funny and entertaining. Like, I don't know if it's naturally his personality or he's just doing it for, I really don't know. But point is that she came out with a statement the other day stating something, and people were like, she's not saying anything. But personally, I understood what she was saying. And it was specifically that she hasn't really commented or has done a lot on social media in that way, because she was saying the same thing that you're saying. She was saying like, what you consume, like the things you watch, the things you listen, the videos, like if you are entertaining this man basically and like consuming it, you're not really educating or bettering yourself in any way. Like you're just kind of like, you know, promoting this person to behave and act like this, and even maybe inspiring you to do the same. And these are just behaviors and actions and energy that like are not necessary and like aren't really like benefiting you in any way. So you made me think of that when you were saying that. I was like, oh, like I understood what my girl was saying. Like you're saying it. Like, yes.
I was going to say too that I have noticed I cannot stand negative people. Can't tolerate it. I have met somebody, like I said, I'm not going to name any names. I have met somebody that was just negative off the bat. And I'm like, whoa, I don't like that energy at all. I'm not gonna ever see you again. You're not my friend, but I know you through a friend. And I'm like, your friend can make excuses for you, but I'm good. Because who you associate with influences who you are. It does. Not 100%. All my friends are like Jasmine, but I feel like all of them kind of fit a frame. Like everyone who knows my friends, they're like all very nice people. I'm not gonna be with somebody I'm not gonna be friends with somebody who's gonna put you down, like, or because there are friends who do that, who put you down like as a joke, like, girl, you know you can't do that. Like, what? That's your friend? That's your homegirl? Could never be me. I was thinking that I could never be friends with somebody negative. Never. Not me. But I'm gonna repeat the question. Something I feel passionate about.
Marilyn, I love when you get into it. You guys comment below if you agree.
What?
She'll get her little sass out, huh? She'll be like, not me, or like she'll, like, you know, you'll change. I love it. That's how I know. I'm like, ooh,
unlocking
my girl's
my
getting
inner
deep. Like she's bringing the other Marilyn out.
My friend Kimberly calls it Hood Marilyn.
She does.
I'm like, Hood. She's like, you get crazy.
And then you'll see her with like the cutest dress, like with her eyeshadow and her earrings, and she's like, that could not be me.
The dynamic. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
You gotta have balance.
Internally, I'm like, she's feeling it.
Yeah.
I
do. That's how you know I really mean it, is when I get like that. Okay. How can you identify and challenge negative self-talk and beliefs that make you feel unlucky, undeserving, or incapable?
Yeah. So I might have to see it and have it. So yeah. I feel like this was definitely a very loaded question.
Yeah, it's
with
a hard one.
Like hard to answer personally and hard to like really break it. Like, how do I answer? Like, what do I think? But I guess again, because this is not scripted and I'm just saying what I think and what I feel, looking into this question, I think a way that I have challenged myself, and we can challenge ourselves in terms of like negative self-talk and like beliefs, is really documenting it and being self-aware of what they are and how they consume your life, or the actions that you make or the things that you do. I think that's very important. I think, and again, just on top of my head, I think the one person who challenges me and says those things is Angel. And I love it. Like, I love that, like, he will tell me, like, hey, like, did you really have to say it in that tone? Or, hey, like, this is not the first time you kind of say this, and like, I don't appreciate it. Or like, you know, hey, I don't like when you talk to yourself like this. You did this 3 times this week, I noticed. And like, having those people, in my case, Angel, who make me self-aware, like, oh, did I really say that 3 times this week? Like, oh, like, that's a lot deeper than what I'm thinking. Like, if he was able to notice it and tell me, then that's when I have to do my part and be more self-aware and challenge myself to go deeper and like think like, oh, this is bigger than what I'm just letting it slip out of my lips because it's maybe normal or not challenging, or, you know, I don't think of it negatively when in reality it is. And I should sit back and like really reflect and like do better or be better. So that's one thing one way I would answer the question.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a way that I and we, again, can challenge ourselves to be better and to really identify those things and know, like, okay, like, this is something I do too much or that I say a lot. What does it really mean to me? Why am I saying them? Why am I acting like this? And like, yeah, just find the solutions or find that help that we need, whether that be therapy or being a little bit more cautious on what we say or how we say it. In terms of like beliefs that make you feel unlucky, undeserving, or incapable. But yeah, like Marilyn, I don't think I ever have had feelings of like feeling unlucky or like undeserving. I feel like I lead life very much so with like love and like faith. But I guess the only moment that maybe some of you guys can relate to is, of course, love, because love, I feel like, consumes our life so much. Everyone wants their like other half, or like their, you know, their Prince Charming, or like that one person, just like the movies and stuff. I would say before meeting Angel, I guess, after going through everything that I went through with like other people, I don't know about the undeserving part, but I did maybe feel a little unlucky. Like, I was like, why me? Like, why am I having so much like trouble and like struggle to find like my person or someone who like really like loves and values me? Having that faith, like, I mean, it all happened for a reason. And although, and I will say, one of the reasons why I think I felt like this the most is because I didn't start dating Angels until I was 20, which I feel like in our generation, that's like late. Like, you're kind of old to like barely be. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like, I have a boyfriend when I was like 12 or like 14, you know? And like, I never had boyfriends. I had like, I always say situationships, but those mean nothing when it comes to like meeting your family or like stuff like that. And so
those are real.
That pressure of like, oh, like, you're 18 and you still haven't found a boyfriend, or like, you know, what's going, like, all those things, like, I did feel kind of like, wow, like, I'm so unlucky, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why, like, you know, are things not working out? You know, I would have really not so good people that obviously would like hurt me, and then I would find really good people, but I just wouldn't, like, I'd be like, you're literally like everything I would want, but I just can't, like, you know, just nothing would click. But like, looking now, it's like, it had faith, right? Like, there was a reason why. And even though I didn't meet my person until I was 20, I can happily say that I'm glad. Yeah, and it's not too late. And I'm glad that this is my first and only person that I truly consider like love and that I want to spend the rest of my life with. But yeah, I think that's how I would answer this question.
I love that. A time you felt unlucky, but you were really lucky. Yeah, I love that. I was going to say, just commenting back on Jasmine, what she had said, it was kind of the first part, but
it was the negative self-talk. And I was thinking about my brothers, I won't say which brother just to keep it I have a lot of brothers, so well, you don't know who it is, but just hearing them say like words, negative self-talk about themselves, you know, about like, I'm stupid, I can never do that, or I'm dumb. Like, you know, those negative self-talks are so hurtful. And like, you will notice how somebody feels about themselves when they repeat themselves, like how you were saying, Angel was hearing what you were saying. I will say that because I edit these podcasts and I, you know, I'm listening all the time. Like I listen to the podcast over and over and over and over again to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I say this a lot, you know? So I always take note, because sometimes I'm like, don't say that when you record next time, or like, or you talk about that too much, you know? So it is super important. Like you said something like, take note of the things that you are saying a lot, or the things that you feel. Yeah. So I agree with that. And luckily we have this documentation because we literally have it on video, like what we're saying. But as well, like, I hope that if you see somebody in your life that is constantly putting themselves down, you're like, just maybe they don't even notice. Like, just tell them like, hey, I notice like you say this a lot, like Angel to Jasmine. I feel like that's so helpful. Or even like checking somebody like, hey, like when you're angry, you cuss at me. Do you notice that? I remember when I first got with Anthony, that was something he told me. He's like, you do know that like whenever we get angry at each other, you cuss at me. I've never said a bad word to you. And I was like, but it was because that was normal where I grew up. Like everybody cussed at everybody. Like it didn't matter who you were. Like honestly, like it doesn't matter the relationship. Like you cuss at each other, and that's not okay. But that's what I grew up with, so that's all I knew. So maybe just telling those people those reminders, and hopefully people will tell you, because they really do help you become the best version of yourself. And although I do struggle still with cussing, I'm nowhere near where I was back then. But yeah, I still struggle though.
Yeah, you mentioned really good points. For sure, like when I mentioned documenting it, I think we're very lucky to, one, have partners that kind of document it for us, and two, like this podcast. But I'm thinking about everyone who's like listening, who are probably like, man, well, I don't have a podcast. How do I know? Or like, you know, I don't know, maybe you don't have someone who's like keeping you in check, or like opening your eyes and things. It could be as simple as like meditation, journaling. Again, like we mentioned, I think a couple episodes ago, like coming on this journey with us, answering these questions, and you looking back at like your responses to these questions. What are repeating like things that I say, or repeating answers? I feel like we repeat a lot of answers on this podcast. Typically good ones, but you don't know. Maybe there's a day where we can sit down too and like look back and like be like,
maybe we
what
should.
do we say? Yeah. Also, yes, I love what you mentioned. Like, be an angel, right? In the sense of like, it's not, don't feel afraid, or like, don't hold yourself back to let someone know like, hey, I don't really like when you like always say that you're fat, or like, you know, that you're not pretty, because you are, and you say it a lot. And I just want to let you know, like, don't, you know, I don't think like that about you, or, you know,
or even don't say that to yourself.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Even if that's what you think, don't say it. Because you're just, you know, you're just consistently like putting yourself down. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, good. Yeah. Or like, hey, like, I'm trying to think in like different areas. Like maybe your mom, right? Maybe like a mom or a dad, or like, hey, or a sibling, or hey, like I notice every time we argue, you always raise your voice at me, and I'm talking to you with my voice normally. Like, I just want to point that out and let you know, like, that, you know, I don't really appreciate that. And you do that a lot. And so those are little conversations and things that you can spark other people to be a little bit more self-aware, and hopefully they themselves can, like I said, challenge themselves to be better and be like, oh, I do that a lot. Like you know, my sister just told me I do this. Like, oof, like maybe I should take a step back and reflect and, you know, do those. But yeah.
Also, this kind of while we were wrapping up, I don't know why, it just reminded me of a talk that I had with my brother on his birthday, and it was a very nice and deep talk, and I won't share it with everyone because it was just such a beautiful talk between me and my baby brother. Well, he turned 21, so he's not a baby, but he's a baby to me. But I had asked him, I said, when it comes to your siblings, what is one word that you would use to describe us? And so he gave me the word compassionate, and I literally almost teared up because I was like, you don't even know, the other day on the podcast, remember how I was talking about my 3 core values, compassion? Mm-hmm. I think that was one of them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want so badly for my kids to have. And I was like, the fact that that's what he sees in me is that I'm compassionate. I was like, but yeah, so maybe even something just to have like a lovely conversation about, love with a family member or somebody you're close to. Like, hey, if you were to give me an adjective or to describe me with one word, what would that word be? I hope it would be something nice, but I think it would be really nice because then you get a perspective of how people see you. I kind of want to do that with everybody I know because I asked Anthony, he gave me an okay answer. He told me bubbly. I was like, well, that's positive, but like, I thought you were going to say like something better.
Like, deeper, Papa, deeper.
He's like, no, that's what you are. You're bubbly, which I've been told I've been bubbly, but I kind of encourage you to do that because it opens up a beautiful conversation. And also it shows you how people view you. So if you kind of document, I am bubbly, I am compassionate, and write those things down. These are all, maybe you can even write next to it, Mom said that. Dad said that, brother said that. And like, maybe you might see the same thing over and over again. And you're like, if everybody I know, everyone closest to me is saying this, it must be true. So I think that's a good exercise to do that I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of what I mentioned another episode too, where I'm like, I feel like your life is kind of like a book.
Yeah.
Right? All these chapters and characters and everything. And so it'd be nice to know, like, when you get a book.
Okay, so just a disclaimer. For some reason, our beautiful little pod track, this is what we use for the podcast, if you're on YouTube, it just keeps turning off on us. So we're just going to use for the rest of this episode our camera audio. So we're just wrapping up. So sorry for the audio change. All right, go ahead, Yasmin.
Yeah, no, but I was just going to say, like I mentioned in the other podcast episode, your life is like a book and filled with all these stories and chapters and characters. And I think that you mentioned something like when you get a book or before you listen to a movie, you do kind of try to see like what's the reoccurring pattern. Like, is this book about romance? If everyone's saying, oh, it's so romantic, oh, it's so romantic, like, then you're like a little bit more like, oh, like I want to, hear it out. And so I feel like that's kind of like your book. Like, you want to know, like, what are like other people like thinking of that
What
book?
do they see in you?
Exactly. And so I think this would be like an awesome opportunity to like ask those around you, like what do they think about you? Like
the people you care about.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah. We don't care what other people think.
Yeah. Think about like the loved ones near you. Like if you can have a dinner table and you only have 10 chairs, like who are those people, or 8 or whatever the case is, and like what do they think?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that would even be a fun activity for us to do.
Maybe we'll do that next episode. That'll be our opener.
Yeah. But
so stay tuned to see what we say. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here on this episode. We love you so much, and we hope that you're wrapping up this March season. We just have 2 more weeks doing stuff productive, having hopefully a lucky month. And thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for your patience with our audio. Yes. We appreciate, your patience, your love, and as always, above all else,
we wish you love.
Bye, friends.
My bad.